Here we go.
Hey guys, welcome to Under Construction with Jerry Keenan, the Alliance for Actions podcast. This is where you can hear directly from the decision makers building a better future in New Jersey. Be sure to subscribe on your preferred platform so you never miss an episode. Now, here's Under Construction with Jerry Keenan.
And hello, I'm Jerry Keenan, the president of the New Jersey Alliance for Action. We're always wondering what's in the pipeline. Where does the construction industry find its new business opportunities? So we're going to be talking with key decision makers throughout all of our episodes that help create those opportunities. And our first guest here, thank you very much, Fran O'Connor, the new Department of Transportation Commissioner. You've had a tremendous career. You started out as a turnpike toll taker, and then for the New Jersey Turnpike Authority, and then went through the years and eventually became the deputy director of the electronic toll system. And if I remember right, you were the one who really put together the first ever turnpike toll electronic toll collection system. You were advising transportation agencies on how to handle their roads, particularly toll roads. You've really had a very diverse experience in your years. I was down in Florida, in Naples, and you called me. It was, I believe it was a Friday, and you told me, Jerry, I'm the new transportation commissioner. I got to ask you, what was it like, Fran, to get a call from the governor and tell him, you're my guy. I want you to be my commissioner?
Yeah, it was. I have to tell you that leading up to that, you go in for, he called me in for an interview, and I really felt like I said, I'm not going to get this job. There's so many people out there. And you go in the office and you see all the portraits of the former governors, and then you go into his office, and it was just a great conversation. I went from, am I going to get this job, leaving that weekend saying, oh, I want this job. I really want it. So I never got a phone call that weekend. I'm like, uh-oh, what's going on? And I was working my old job, and I was in a business meeting in Nashville. And I'm giving a presentation, and I look at my phone, and it had a missed call from Middletown, New Jersey. I was like, uh-oh. So I go into a room. I said, excuse me for a minute. I go in, and it's the governor. And he said, I want to nominate you as my next commissioner. And without a hesitation, I said, I'll be honored to serve you. And then I hung up, and then I looked at all the walls, and I said, what did I just do? But it was that experience in the sense of, I just felt at home talking to the governor and going through where I've been and what I was doing. So, you truly, when you say, to be honored to serve, that's how I say it, honored and privileged to serve.
Well, the interesting thing about the governor, and I've only sat with him on a very small number of occasions, but the first time I sat with him, it was during March Madness. And he came to our office, and he just wanted to introduce himself to us. And he hadn't even started the campaign yet, but he wanted to sit down with me and my old boss, Phil. And when he left, I said to Phil, this guy's a great guy. I felt like saying, let's go out and get a beer afterwards. And, we haven't had that opportunity yet as well, but we ought to do that, Fran. You're exactly the same guy. I've known you all of these years. And you've always been the guy that just want to sit down, watch the Yankees game, and get a beer.
And I have to say, if it wasn't for Diane Scacchetti, she's the one that got my resume and talked to the governor. If it wasn't for her, I said myself and Diane were cut from the same cloth. We grew up on the turnpike, had the same values, and it was her that really, brought me into, the state government and recommended me to the governor.
Now, both at the turnpike, you left the turnpike a while ago for the private sector. Were you working there at the same time with Diane?
Yeah.
That's how you met?
Yeah, when I was a toll collector from 1984 to 85. 84 to 89. And it was great where they had the tuition reimbursement program, and they paid for my college education. Diane started around, 88, 89 as a contract administrator in there. So, and that's how we first met, because I was an accountant at the turnpike. And she naturally, I knew she was moving up because that's how qualified she was. And When I left there, she was the deputy executive director there. So yeah, but we worked from that many years together there. So and then when I went into the private sector, she was my client because we did the back office system when I went to Lockheed Martin. So we always stayed close, and I even went down to Florida. I was her consultant down there, so we always stayed.
Now, I have to tell you, my dream for one day was to be a toll taker. It's got to be interesting.
Well, and people say, and a lot of executives, they go and they say, I collected tolls, and it's that one day. But you say 5 years, and it was a great job in the sense of, you worked, but you worked hard.
Mm-hmm.
People say you just stand in a toll booth, but sometimes you're there 8 hours, and if you're working overtime, it's 16 hours, and then the folks you deal with. And the one thing that I always came across is that, number one, I had to get you in and out of the lane as fast as possible, because I know where you're going. And I also had to provide customer service to you. Because you had people coming in who are lost, especially when you go to interchange 14 and you're trying to find the airport sign and you're like, so that taught me from the very beginning customer service. And then you have people flying in who are the first time they ever came to the state and they're starting a new job and then you see the truck drivers bringing their goods, and you do meet friends there. Regular person. People came and said, I forgot my money. Don't worry, give me tomorrow morning. You knew those folks. So and sure enough, they would come and look for you and try to or give you an envelope, or you give them an envelope and say, here, bring it in tomorrow. Don't worry about it. Because you knew those folks were going every day there. So, and then you had the opposite, the other folks who were mad because they sat in your lane for 20 minutes because it's backed up, and they hate you and they don't care and they're throwing money at you, or, and all you have to do is, okay, and get them out of the lane.
You must have learned a few four-letter words that you never heard of.
Yes, you do hear, and you see the best of people and you see the worst of people. You see people come up who want to give you water, they want to give you a container of milk for the office. They're really nice people out there. And then you have to just deal with the ones that aren't.
Now, you just said something that reminds me. I do know someone who, at least on one occasion, went to the toll takers with cookies and desserts. And that was your old boss, Diane Scicchetti, when she was. So I just found that to be really amazing that she did that.
Yeah, no, she was well respected out there. When she used to go home or stop by, she always, she still does that today, dropping off cakes for the staff at DOT or the State House. She still does that.
If people don't realize, Diane Gutierrez Scicchetti, the former chief of staff, before that, the Department of Transportation Commissioner, and years before that, she was the director of the New Jersey Turnpike Authority after really spending her whole career there. Mm-hmm. So she's, I don't believe she was a toll taker, but
no.
She's been through it all.
As a contract administrator in the law department, just doing that and starting there and seeing, and you knew Diane was going to go far.
Yeah.
And she was also the executive director and CEO of the Florida Turnpike when she was down in Florida. So, I still, every time when I talk, I talk about Diane, of what the infrastructure she set up at the DOT just in the last 6.5 years is unbelievable. And her contributions to transportation, not just in the state, but throughout the country. I just returned from a NASTO, their annual meeting, and they, what Diane has done for that organization in the Northeast, and just highlighting what New Jersey is doing is just, it's unbelievable. And I get the benefits of that, and I say that all the time. The last 6 months of everything that happened, I get the benefits of it.
So getting back to the governor calls you and you accept the job. And you have at that point a little less than 2 years until the January of 26, and not a real lot of time. But I remember, I remember one of an interesting quote that you told me you said to the governor about what you're going to do over the next 2 years.
Yeah, he said it's a 2-year gig, and I said I I'll soften it up. I said, I'm not going to sit on my butt for 2 years. And he said, exactly, because he wants a lot of stuff to be accomplished in these 2 years. So that fit into where, because I just didn't want to sit down and, relax for 2 years. I want to get stuff done.
Well, already you've hit the ground running. We got the Transportation Trust Fund resolved. The Gateway Development, or the Gateway Tunnel, the Hudson River Tunnel project, has gotten its full funding agreement, and ground was broken. So you've already hit two extremely high, or had two extremely big successes. What else now?
What else? Well, I mean, naturally, as you know, with the Transportation Trust Fund, with our projects out there, that we can roadways, and then you have if you drive Route 18, you see those projects that we're moving. These are big projects. It's easy to say, you look at your projects and you say, okay, Gateway is big, and the 1 to 4 widening, these are stuff long term, or the Turnpike Newark Bay extension. Those are big projects. But what I like to see in the next, and you see this, is helping out the local municipalities and counties, naturally from funds on our grants to help them on pedestrian safety, car safety, bicyclist safety, all those programs that we give grants to, or just trying to fix their roads, so people, are having safe roads. A lot of programs that we're doing now, we're looking at it, it goes through a whole safety aspect, and it goes through our local aid to make sure it's helping local communities. So if we're paving a road, we're also laying sidewalk. We're putting drainage systems. So we're not just paving a road, we're also making it a safe walkway for the pedestrians. Jerry, you heard me say a way of life, safety. It can't be a campaign for us, and it can't be a campaign for the local municipalities or the counties. It can't be an initiative. It has to be a way of life, because we have to change the thinking of all our drivers, whether that's a marketing blitz on, trying to shock people. My first week when I started, a person was going to work on Route 1, and a car went across and killed him. That person was from Freehold and was a friend of mine. Our kids played soccer together and played baseball together. How do you have prevented that somebody's just going to work and somebody else comes across, or head on? We just had on Route 40, a head-on accident, where 2 people died, and 2 others are in very serious condition. So you have this, or you have a pedestrian who's trying to cross a highway, that's the stuff that, we are focusing on, because we need to do that. That's what keeps me out at night. And my children say it, and they look at me, I take it personal, because one death is too many. And they said, you're never going to get to 0. And I said, why not? Why not? Now, state roads are a lot harder than you deal with local roads, where they do get to 0 because they're more controlled. In the state, we have a lot of our state highways that do go through local areas, whether it's 129. So, does it affect me? Absolutely affects me. It bothers me. I keep saying, what else can we do? And, you're never going to control a distracted. And if you see, our marketing with the billboards are going to actually try to attack, to shock drivers, to say, what happens if a mother and her child is driving in a car, and the last thing she sees is you on your phone, right? I mean, or a worker or somebody crossing. So it does, that probably affects me the most when I see a fatality.
And we've all been driving and looked at the car next to us, and someone's like this, and I don't know if there are any records on, do people ever get ticketed for being on their phone? It's got to be hard to.
Yeah, but and again, when you're dealing with a phone, how to get a phone if there's an accident, just the whole legalities of trying to get the phone. But if a police officer sees you, they naturally could pull you over, and that's where we have to work closely. And it's easy to put a sign up, but we have to attack on enforcement. And that's the thing that, one thing that we're planning is having a statewide safety summit to bring in the local, the counties, the municipalities, the police, the state police to try to get together and say, okay, what do we have to do? Because our numbers are not trending the right way. We have to get it down. And so, every time I talk and I tell people, I said, when you're driving, look and just observe. Because some of the small things, IBTTA just had a campaign, use your blinker, let somebody merge. Right? You could say an accident on 295, car wouldn't let somebody merge and they hit. So that's little stuff that you focus on.
I love the signs that I see now with the variable message.
Yeah.
I saw one, let the waves do the crashing, and I saw another one about letting someone in, be a nice person or whatever it was. But they're real eye catchers, and they have good messages. Where do you come up with your ideas to do these kinds of things? I haven't seen that in any other state when I drive around.
Well, I mean, I could take credit for the VMS sides, but I mean, that was Diane and the folks, and you have a whole list of folks. You have, believe it or not, a lot of the state police come and give us, say, hey, how about this? Those are supposed to be where people look, but at least give them an idea, because you don't want to violate any federal highway laws in a sense, but you have to come back with the safety stuff. But the things we're going to do coming up with the billboards next, this week, the end of this week, are going to be more serious and say, what if? And that's the thing. And we're going to be doing a video, and we're going to be doing commercials. Because we just have to, and you see them all over the country. People coming on distracted driving high, driving drunk, those things, especially in the summertime, when we're getting there. So that's a seriousness of the job, and that's the thing I take very, very personal.
So when you're developing new initiatives or trying to fix infrastructure, I know Diane had been down in Florida, and she brought a number of great ideas from Florida and brought them up here. But do you look at how other states do it? I know you remember the IBTTA. Where do you get your ideas?
Yeah, I mean, with IBTTA is another one, right? They have a conference going on now, and a maintenance conference down in Florida.
That's the International Bridge, Tunnel, and Turnpike Association,
right? And then, so that's one of the places. And then you talk about ASHTO or NASTO in the north, the Northern Association. I just came from a meeting there, and they had sessions that talked about safety, or sessions about this is what we do. So you pick up ideas, or using federal funds, this way. So, and we all say, all the secretaries and commissioners, we don't care, we want to share, So that's where, those are the two main places.
Well, I know you're a football fan, and football, whenever you see something work in the NFL, before you know it, every other team is doing that.
Yes.
So there's no.
Oh, it's not. It's no pride in authorship or ownership. And we have such great DOTs, especially where we work in the Northeast. We share everything, and they're so open to say, "Hey, we have something. Can you do?" And then IBTTA is the same way. That's international. That's an international organization. Fortunately, we have our two toll roads who are members there with the South Jersey and Transportation and New Jersey Highway Authority. So we're constantly looking, and the good thing is, as a state, we move in one direction. So we focus on stuff. If even if the Turnpike said, "Hey, I saw this. Okay, let's look at it." If, the DOT, "Hey, Turnpike or South Jersey," so we work together very closely.
It's interesting. Things have changed. They changed so much. And when my kids were growing up, my son Billy was doing a book report, and he asked me for some help. And one of the words he used like 3 times in the same paragraph. And so I clicked on the computer and got the thesaurus going, and he got a different word. And I said to him, "You're lucky. In the old days, I had to go down to the library to look at a thesaurus." And he said, "What do you mean? You didn't have a computer?" And I said, "No, we didn't have that." But that really wasn't that long ago. So now I look at transportation, and you have all different technologies and trends coming up. You have AI, you have electric cars. How do you stay on top of that? And what do the new trends mean for you?
Right. Well, the first thing, when we have federal funds which is the National Electric Vehicle Infrastructure, and we call it NEVI.
Okay.
We got funds for that to put charging stations 50 miles apart, but 1 mile off, the main roads. So that's to help our system. Now, again, on the electric vehicles, you're going to have to look at the grids, what we have to do with the grids, how we can recharge those grids at night. Like, say, if you have electric buses, school buses, and you put them in there, and hopefully charging the power from the battery can get put back to the grid. So we have to look and probably have a way of trying to upgrade the grids once we get all these electric, chargers out there.
Mm-hmm.
So, as Governor Murphy, he's, wants to, we're probably at 40-something% of our fleet is electric, both, I think, on the Turnpike and New Jersey Transit. I mean, that's what we're trying to do. We just got a $90 million grant, federal aid again for electric buses for New Jersey Transit. So I think we're on the course for the electric, side of the house. On AI, we're using AI at times, and on one of the safety components that we're doing is on the traffic signals on 129, where it's picking up a person, like where, all of a sudden it sees a car traveling fast and it's a yellow light. They know that car's not going to stop in time, so they keep everything red, because AI picked it up. Or somebody coming in a crosswalk, they're crossing and they did not get out of the crossroad. A lot of times you see 29 seconds, 30 seconds going down, but if they set, for the people who are taking longer, it keeps it red, safe. Autonomous, that, they're actually directing it, so you don't have somebody trying to control it. Is it going to help? Can our roadways be smaller now that you have somebody who's not waving in that? So that's all we're thinking about and looking at. So
Well, let's talk a little bit about Fran, the man. So what is it that you bring to the table here at DOT Commissioner that is helping you be as successful as you are?
Well, it's true. I'm Fran. That's what I say.
Yes.
And people laugh when I go into, especially conferences, when they, you're walking around the exhibit hall, and when I stopped by, somebody had they were paving. And they said, "Oh, do you pave?" I said, "Yeah, we probably did about how many? We just probably did about 300,000 potholes." And he goes, "I said, yeah, I work for the DOT." And people get mad at me. They say, "You have to tell them who you are." And I said, "No, I can go through my resume and say I have 40 years of experience in transportation and managing large projects. But one of my strengths is I'm a people person. I love dealing with folks. I love going to and talking to them, and and the reason why I don't say I'm the commissioner, because you get a different perspective when somebody tells you. Once you say you're a commissioner or executive director, it changes the tone. Okay, when you talk about leadership and you're talking about leaders, you can't lead just by yourself. You need the folks to believe in you, and I think I bring that in a sense and say, okay, we all have to move. It's not just a commissioner who's, and a commissioner does make some tough decisions, but, for the folks to follow you, they have to believe in you. And I think that's one of the aspects that I bring, besides my vast knowledge of 40 years.
And your good looks and everything, right? But no, I one thing I remember, and Fran, we've known each other, gosh, I don't know how many years, but and I said to you a few times when you've come to Alliance for Action events, I was like, Fran, what the heck? Why are you sitting all the way back here? I said, I got a seat right up front for you. And you tell us why.
Yeah, I always took back, center, and everybody used to come up. Why are you sitting back here? I said, well, look up. I said, what do you see? He goes, well, I see everybody walking in. All right, so I see everybody walking in. What else you say? He goes, I see the speaker looking at me. So that's the best place.
Yeah.
And the one thing is watching people come in and out, and that's why I always sat in the back observing, folks come in. A lot of people was like, who's that guy back there? But that's...
It's the best seat in the house.
Yeah.
You get a chance to see everyone when they're coming in and when they're coming out, and you can't miss anyone that way.
So that's why I always, so it's funny when I speak at those events, I always see who's at the back table, and it's somebody I told that. They're waving to me. Tell me what it's like. Now, I know DOT Commissioner, that is a long-hour job. But just the fact that you're here today, I really appreciate you putting aside time for us. But tell me a little bit about, you wake up at 6 o'clock and, what happens? There's a couple of things. three things that I try to do before I even start the day. Number one, I always say I love you to my family. And now that they're not living at home, I text them, tell my wife. The next thing, I say prayers. Easy, say my prayers. And then I do what's called solitude and planning of what I want to accomplish during the day. Always did that. I write down, okay, this is what I want to do. That's the three things before I even, have my coffee. Now, a little change. I usually read the emails, throughout the night or somebody if I have a fatality. But that's the three things I always done in my career. And the solitude and planning is just more of trying to focus on, because a lot of times in this job you're going in 6 different directions, and then you look at your things like, I didn't accomplish anything today, but you did accomplish, but not the stuff on your list. I read every single correspondence that comes into the office to me. People are writing to me, people are emailing me, and I do email back, if I know an answer of what I have to do. I said if these folks take enough time to write this letter, they need to, But that's some of the things that you talk about. It is a long day. And the one thing, and we'll talk about work-life balance, right? But the one thing, I always come home, I have my wife there, and she is the support. Even though a lot of times she goes, and you took this job because, but, she's always there as, because if she wasn't supporting me, I would never be able to do this job. And,
That's
and whether I get home at 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock, especially after a New Jersey Transit meeting, it's 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock. And then just on my look on my face, she knows if I had a bad day or a good day. So that's important. And we always say that if you don't have a balance at work, you need a balance at home. And I always tell everybody that ever worked for me, it's always family first. There's
true.
no doubt in my mind if somebody comes up to me and says, oh, I have to do this. And I'm saying, well, why are you asking me that? You have to do it. It's your family. That's it.
That is all wonderful stuff. I do want to point out something that as DOT Commissioner, you need to be ready to take on the latest challenges and unexpected challenges. And I want to talk specifically about up in, I guess, Jefferson Township, Route 15. You were doing some work. I guess you were going to, I don't think you were planning to replace the bridge, but you were doing some
we
work.
were replacing the bridge on one side.
And what happened?
And what happens, you're driving the piles down, and you have a vibration test to make sure. And we noticed movement on, you have the structure's 124 years old.
I remember.
So they closed one lane, and then they called me. They said, it could fall. And I said, close it. Lo and behold, that's the lifeline of those folks up there. And I have an aunt that lives up there, and she called my wife right away. She goes, does Fran know about this bridge? She goes, yeah, he closed it. And what? So, and the initial reaction was when you see something, because it takes a long time to, fix a bridge. Just from the experience with the 71 bridge going in from, Belmont to Avon, it took us a while. So I'm guessing it's 3 to 4 months.
And that was a big problem for everyone up there.
Oh, yeah,
that
it
road,
was 'cause it would
the
have
detour
killed-
was not easy.
It wasn't easy in those roads. And so I got our folks together, and after a meeting, and it was a tough meeting with the legislators, and they said, you can't close this down for 3-4 months. And I'm in a meeting, and I said, what do they think? I have a bridge in my back office? And I didn't say that. I said something in my Jersey City slang. And one of the guys turned to me, they said, well, you do. I said, what? And we had a temporary bridge up in Lafayette that we were able to, and they said, we can do this. And just working with the folks up in Jefferson, unbelievable. The mayor up there, the assembly people, we all worked together. We all made sure, and the senators, we all made sure we had communication plan to let the folks, and they replaced, they put this temporary structure in within 5 weeks.
Amazing.
And it was unbelievable, the work. And, we just had to make sure we communicated, and that's important. And Diana always said this. She said to our folks, would you want somebody to come in to rearrange your furniture? And they said, no. She goes, well, why would you want to go into a neighborhood? And that's where you're going into neighborhoods to rearrange their stuff. So you have to have a communication with, and make sure the local folks. And I tell you, the mayor there did unbelievable, and the politician. They did a great job to, talk to the locals, because there was a lot of businesses there, that just took a hammer for 5 weeks. So we're happy that we got that open. We're still replacing, we're building the bridge alongside it, so nothing's going to be closed. So they could come down, they could get out of there. So,
Well, I remember I got a few calls when the police, Jefferson Police, put out a message saying they were going to have to shut down. And I got several calls, and people were very, very concerned because, like you said, that's a major thoroughfare. And I don't remember all the details, but the detour was going to have to go.
Oh, it went through, because I went up there and drove the detour. Yeah. I was with the mayor, and we drove around to see, and I was like, oh, we saw areas. And I have to commend my staff, my colleagues, I should say, what they've done to, with the contractor to get that done. And even our traffic folks were up there talking to the local police to say, this is not working. And we had the state police involved, too, on directing traffic for us and helping us out there. So it was a big effort for everybody. So, but you have our colleagues at the DOT that just stepped up and said, we can do this.
That's terrific.
And you have these that pop up right here, and I joke around. I said, I open a bridge and then God closes another one for me. That's when we're dealing with 100-year-old infrastructures, right? We're looking, and I had the same thing in Watertown City where the bridge, on Farnsworth, which is a lifeline to their downtown. And then, I said, no, we're not going to close this as long as it's safe and we inspect it and do repairs. We just can't close the bridge, and then it had a historic value. I was under the bridge with the mayor, looking at and it's an active railroad track for one of the freight companies. So. That's what comes up.
Looking under the bridge with the mayor. Now, you're a DOT commissioner. You can do that. Most people don't have an opportunity to look up at the bottom of the bridge. Yeah. And it's one thing when you're going on top of that bridge, but it's really incredible to see what's underneath and sometimes the tremendous needs.
Yeah, you do. You do. When you look at it, and that's the stuff we had to repair. When you see whether it's a leakage or bricks falling, that's the stuff that we inspect our bridges on every 2 years. So I want to make sure the one we inspected we did it, and that it comes up because there's no doubt if it's unsafe, I have to close it down. I just, because safety is the number one priority. I'm here to implement the governor's vision, right, of a safe, reliable, economic transportation for all New Jerseyans. That's his vision, and I'm here just to help implement that. So.
Well, Fran, thank you so much for being here. It's a pleasure to have you here. And these are the kind of things we're going to be doing. We want to speak with key people making a difference for the construction industry, and it was great to start out with you as our first guest. So thank you very much,
I
Fran.
appreciate it, Jerry. Thank you so much, and thank the Alliance. It's been a true partner with us.
We'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in. Under Construction with Jerry Keenan is a production of the New Jersey Alliance for Action. Make sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you never miss an episode. And be sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Don't forget to follow on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook. Learn more about membership and events at alliancefораction.com. Together, we're building a better future. See you next time.